Good afternoon. I would like to thank you for the opportunity to present our paper, From Bureaucracy to Performance, Can the Public Sector Drive Growth in the EU? Authored by Oana Ramona Lobonț, Raluca Nicoleta Cârnaț, Andreea-Miruna Gheorghescu, Cristina Criste, and Florentina Crăciun, within the framework of the International Balkan and Near Eastern Congress series on economics, business, and management. I am Andreea-Miruna Gheorghescu, and I will start by presenting our structure. Research objective, introduction, literature review, methods and data, results, and key endings. The primary research objective of this study is to understand how well the public sector's performance reflects both the quality of governance and the ability to deliver high quality, fair, and tailored public services that meet society's needs. The performance of the public sector is a topic of significant importance in the current context of modern economies. Characterized by increasing pressure on budgetary resources, growing demands from citizens, and expectations regarding transparency, efficiency, and accountability. In a world marked by recurring economic crises, accelerated digitalization, and significant demographic changes, the public sector is called upon to respond with practical and sustainable solutions, capable of bringing greater value to society. Thus, evaluating and improving the performance of public institutions is becoming a priority, not only for governments but also for the scientific establishment and international potential. For our literature review, we have selected scientific works from 68 that we have discovered. Considering the various reasons why the state must ensure a certain level of efficiency in governance, it is necessary to analyze performance from both theoretical and empirical perspectives, taking into account the existence of multiple influences. Afonso et al. Indicates that greater efficiency in public sector spending is positively associated with increased citizen trust in government. In a regional context, Mitu and Stanciu shows that expenditure performance is more elevated in medium-sized governments. In addition, medium-sized governments achieve the highest scores for efficiency. Complementing these empirical approaches, Mihit et al. Brought together both theoretical and empirical research to analyze public sector performance. The results showed that PSP still creates confusion because, on one hand, the public sector has unique characteristics. On the other hand, it can be paradoxical, referring to a weak correlation between performance indicators and actual performance. The key conclusions of Apeti et al. Are that trade globalization factors, output productivity, and institutional quality appear to be important determinants of total public sector efficiency. Methods and data. The data used for the empirical analysis consists of indicators related to the development and performance of the public sector. The period for which we collected the data spanned from 2007 to 2023, a sufficiently long time frame to capture the impact of the various macroeconomic imbalances generated by the events that occurred during this period. The data were collected from various reliable international databases, forming a set of 24 variables. The states included in the analysis are the member states of the European Union during the selected period, except for Malta, for which data availability was limited. Specifically, the study was conducted across 26 member states. The analyzed variables are summarized in this table, presenting their definitions, measurement units, and their category. The empirical analysis was carried out in several stages. First, a descriptive and inferential examination of the dataset was conducted to identify the main trends. Next, a composite indicator was developed through principal component analysis to assess public sector performance across the 26 EU countries. A visual inspection of the data then facilitated the interpretation of the indicator's evolution over the period 2007-2023. Finally, clustering techniques were applied to evaluate the degree of homogeneity in public sector performance and to classify countries into similarity groups. Analyzing the central trend, we observe that the average values show significant differences between variables. The access to electricity indicator has an average of nearly 100%, indicating extensive coverage of essential services within the sample. In contrast, GDP per capita and GNY per capita have extremely high averages, signaling the presence of economics with remarkable performance. However, the notable difference between the mean and median for these two variables indicate an unbalanced distribution, with extreme values influencing the mean. The Jarque-Bera test reveals significant deviations from normal distribution for most variables. In particular, access to electricity, GDP per capita and GNI per capita exhibit the highest statistic values, p equals 0.0.00, indicating that the hypothesis of normality is rejected. This suggests that distributions are affected by asymmetry and pronounced flatness, justifying the use of robust or non-parametric statistical methods in further analysis. These economic variables provide a critical finding as they validate the use of sophisticated analytical techniques and reinforce the idea that economic growth and public sector performance are a non-linear phenomenon. The following research step involves constructing a composite PCA-based public sector performance indicator. After selecting the set of indicators, they were standardized to a comparable scale, reducing statistical distortions caused by different units of measurement. Subsequently, the indicators were indexed using equal weights or weights determined by economic techniques, in this case PCA, to construct a synthetic index that reflects a coherent view of public performance, allowing for comparative analysis between EU 26 countries. Therefore, it will be clear how stronger public institutions characterized by efficiency and good governance reduce costs for businesses, attract investments, and encourage innovation and market expansions. The values of the composite indicator for the first year of analysis, 2007, and the last year of study, 2023, are found in Table 3. The darkest color represents the highest values, and as the values decrease, the color fades. Therefore, as can be seen in figures 1 and 2, for both years mapped, we observe that the same countries have high values of the composite indicator of public sector performance, with minor differences attributed to Eastern European countries. Spain, Ireland, and Sweden also have relatively high values for the indicator, while France is at the opposite end of the spectrum, with a low composite public sector performance indicator. These results are specific to the indicators selected in creating the present composite indicator, and the weights of each indicator value contributes to the grouping of countries in this manner. Visual analysis of the two heat maps reveal several significant differences in the distribution and intensity of values during the two periods analyzed, 2007 and 2023. In 2007, activity was relatively uniform, indicating an early stage of the phenomenon, characterized by limited use and weak seasonal fluctuations. In contrast, the 23 heat map shows a sharp intensification and distinct concentration in specific periods, indicating a more mature phase of the phenomenon and well-defined seasonal activity. Defined clusters of the increased intensity emerge, reflecting a growth in the complexity and intensity of the phenomenon analyzed in the correct context. This transition suggests an increase in the complexity and volume of monitored activity as a result of digitalization, the expansion of public service use, and structural changes in user behavior. The dendrogram for 2007 highlights the existence of two major clusters, separated by long branches indicating significant differences between the entities analyzed. This dispersion suggests a heterogeneous public sector in which local institutions operated on different bases of resources, administrative capacity, and adaptability to public policies. This stage can be characterized as one of the administrative fragmentation, in which the absence of common standards and the unified governance framework has led to significant inequalities in the implementation of public services. In comparison, the 2023 dendrogram reflects a decrease in branch length and a tighter grouping of entities, indicating an increase in performance homogeneity across institutions. This configuration suggests that institutional reform, digitalization, and administrative capacity strengthening programs have positive effects. There is a visible trend toward uniformity in public performance, facilitated by European integration, access to structural funds, and policies to standardize service quality. The transformation observed between 2007 and 2023 reveals systematic progress in the public sector, reflecting a shift from disparity to convergence. Dendrograms thus provide valuable insight into performance dynamics and are a helpful tool for assessing the impact of public policies. Key findings. Sustained efforts in areas such as digitalization, education, healthcare, and infrastructure remain essential to strengthening the resilience and inclusiveness of public institutions, particularly in an increasingly complex and uncertain socio-economic environment. The evolution of public sector performance, as analyzed using the PCA Composite Public Sector Performance Indicator, highlighted a significant concentration of performance values in Western European countries, with some critical differences in Eastern European countries. These differences between countries reflect both divergent economic structures and different stages in the reform process of the public sector, as well as in the economy's growth and development. Progress in public sector homogenization is evident in dendrograms from 2007 and 2023, which show a significant reduction in public sector fragmentation. Acknowledgement. This work was supported by a grant from the Romanian Ministry of Research, Innovation and Digitalization, the project with the title Economics and Policy Options for Climate Change Risk and Global Environmental Governance. Within Romania's National Recovery and Resilience Plan, development of a program to attract highly specialized human resources from abroad in research, development, and innovation activities. Thank you very much.